Hello and welcome to Big Orbit Games unboxing video of the new Magic the Gathering Ajani Valiant Protector Planeswalker Deck. My name is Simon and I'll be doing the unboxing today. So my intention is just to open this up and show you what you get inside. I'll go briefly through what the deck does and how it plays, but this is mostly just to give you an idea of what you get in the box. So this is a pre-made 60 card deck. These new Planeswalker decks started with Kaladesh and have replaced the intro decks as they used to be called. So these are the new Planeswalker decks, and you get an exclusive Planeswalker in the deck. So you can only find this Planeswalker, this Ajani, in these decks. They're not in boosters. There's also 4 cards in the deck that are also exclusive to it and work with Ajani himself. And then you get 2 boosters as well, which is pretty cool. So this is for the new Aether Revolt set. So I'm not going to go through Ajani just yet. I'm just going to show you everything else. So you get the box in here with the deck and everything inside. So let's open this up. So you've got plenty of room in here for all your cards. You could, I think there's enough room, yeah, it looks like there's enough room to sleeve the deck and still put it back, which is pretty good. So inside you get your 2 boosters, your deck, and your fold out here. So this just explains a little bit about Ajani himself, learning to play Magic, how Planeswalkers work, how to play the deck, how to boost the deck afterwards, and a deck list in case you ever take the deck apart or lose cards or something. You know how to rebuild it. And then on the reverse side, it's a nice bit of story about Ajani himself. He's quite a storied character from Magic's past. And then the other deck, which I'll also be doing an unboxing video of, for Tezzeret, Master of Metal, and then a few other products that are available. So here we have the deck, the boosters, and Ajani himself. So let's take a look at the actual... no, we won't start with the deck. We will start with Ajani now. Getting him out of here, I'm going to be very careful not to bend him. If you sort of bend the plastic, there we go, so that tab comes out the way. You don't risk damaging him then. So here's Ajani himself. So he is 6 mana to play, 4 colourless, a green and a white. All the intro deck Planeswalkers so far have been 6 mana, and I think they will continue to be. He comes in with 4 loyalty counters, and he has 3 abilities. So his +2 ability is to put 2 1/1 counters on up to 1 target creature. You basically buff something by +2/+2 via the counters, and you'll see in the deck that there's a lot of counters going around, so make sure you have plenty of dice or beads or something to track your counters with. For another ability, he has +1. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card, and then you can put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Fits well within green and white. They tend to be creature heavy colours, so it's just good. A little bit of extra draw effectively. And then -11, so you need to get an extra 7 counters on this guy before you can do this. Put X 1/1 counters on target creature, where X is your life total. That creature also gains trample until end of turn. So if you did this without ever taking damage, for a -11 you could put 20 1/1 counters on a creature and give it trample. So even if it gets blocked, there's still damage going over probably. Very nice card. Ajani, nice and straightforward. You're just buffing creatures, finding creatures, or giving a creature a huge buff. So this really epitomizes what the deck is about, which is about buffing creatures and finding creatures. So keep that in mind as we go through the rest of the deck. Here I am going to attempt to get this out of its plastic wrapper. First time, that was the second time. Well, we got there though, not too painful. So you have in here as well the Magic Quick Reference Sheet. So if you haven't played Magic before, this is a really useful little tool to have. Ideally you'll be learning to play Magic with someone. If you're not, I would suggest playing the Magic Duels online because it's a nice tutorial way to go through it. But if you are learning this with someone, this quick reference is useful. You just sort of have it out by the side of you and you can just, as it says, reference it when you need to, and it explains how you set up, how to win, and the parts of the turn, so the different order things are done in. It's useful to have near you whilst you're playing. So here we are onto the deck. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to quickly pull out, sorry, excuse me, something stuck in my throat a little bit. I'm just going to pull out the cards that are exclusive to this deck, show you those ones, and then we can have a look through some of the rest of the cards as well. So we have here a reprint from, I think, Oath of the Gatewatch, which is Tranquil Expanse. So you get 4 of these lands. They're a non-basic land, they enter tapped, and they add green or white to your mana pool. And it just means you can, you've got easier access to the 2 colours you need for the deck. The next one is Inspiring Roar. So this is 4 mana, 3 and a white. It is a sorcery, and it puts a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. So say you had 10 creatures in play, all of them get 1/1 counter. Ideally you want to play this if you have more than 1 creature in play. It's a nice buff for that. But yeah, otherwise it's quite a nice card. 4 mana is a little expensive, but because it buffs everything, it's good. And you get 4 of those. You then have Ajani's Comrade. So this is a 2 mana 2/2. It is a creature elf soldier with trample. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control an Ajani Planeswalker, put a 1/1 counter on Ajani's Comrade. So, like I said, these exclusive cards are designed to fit in with Ajani himself. Be it thematically, or say, for example, the Inspiring Roar, or in a more literal sense. So at the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control an Ajani, this is a Planeswalker Ajani, put a 1/1 counter on Ajani's Comrade. So it just makes him a bit stronger, and each turn it's going to get stronger and stronger, which is really cool. So the rest of Ajani's cards. So as you see here, we also have Ajani's Aid. So you get 2 of these in the deck. So this is an enchantment that works with him. Oh, sorry, let it focus a bit. So it's 4 mana, 2 green and a white. When it enters the battlefield, search your library and or graveyard for a card named Ajani Valiant Protector. Reveal it and put it in your hand. If you did, shuffle and sacrifice this to prevent all combat damage a creature of your choice would deal this turn. So this card, and you'll find this in all the Planeswalker deck, this card is designed to help you actually get that 1 copy of the Planeswalker you have in the deck into your hand, or if you've already played it and it's been killed, you get it back from the graveyard. So it's quite a useful card. It's a shame you only get 2 of them, but then if you need to use more than 2 of them, the game's probably going on quite long. So, and then you've got the added little bonus of being able to prevent damage a creature might deal, which means you might be able to stop a giant being killed by your opponent swinging out. So, the rest of the deck, now this is in slightly mixed order, unfortunately, so it's a bit more awkward to show you it in one big go. And as you can see, there are some artifacts in here, but it's a green deck. There is white in there, and there's some artifacts in there because that's what the set it's come from. Aether Revolt is about. But the white, as you can see here, that's the white, that's the green. You can see it's a much more predominantly green deck than the others. And I'm not going to go through every single card because there's a lot of them here, and you can check out the deck lists and stuff online. But effectively, the focus of the deck is getting these 1/1 counters out and getting your creatures nice and buffed up. And then things like Armorcraft Judge, when it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each creature you have with a 1/1 counter on it. So getting these 1/1 counters out is very useful. Not only does it buff your creatures up, there are cards that then say gain a benefit for having done so. And then in terms of the artifacts, you have Verdant Automaton, which just puts a counter on it. Daredevil Dragster is a bit of a one-off, but it's a bit of extra card draw because it gains velocity counters on itself. And then you have Renegade Map, which it just allows you to get some lands. It's a 1-drop. It enters tapped, so you can't do it the turn. Activates ability the turn it comes in, but you tap it and sacrifice it to search your land. Search your deck for a basic land card. Put it in your hand and shuffle. So say you've got loads of forests but no plains out. It allows you to get access to the white you need by getting that plains into your hand. So the focus of the entire deck is on getting these 1/1 counters and buffing your creatures up. That is what the deck is all about. So it's very creature focused. There's no real tricks or anything to the deck. There's nothing particularly, complicated or anything. It's a very straightforward deck, which is quite nice, especially as a beginning player. And green and white tend to be fairly straightforward colours anyway. So yeah, it's a fairly straightforward deck. And in terms of if you wanted to alter it and change it, I mean, there's a couple of cards that you might want to consider switching out, but generally speaking, it's more down to personal preference. I mean, the Audacious Infiltrator can't be blocked by artifact creatures. Really good against the other Planeswalker decks. It's full of artifacts, but you might find it's not as useful to you because you don't play as many, for example. And it's just stuff like that. I think changing and upgrading this deck is a bit different from the other ones, just because it works so well together. It really is going to be down to personal preference. So since we get 2 boosters in here, let me just take a quick look and see what we get in here. I'm not going to go through all the cards. I'm just going to kind of, another Renegade map. Flick through and just see what we get in here. We have a couple of implements. One is in white, so we could use this one. It's a 1-cost artifact that you sacrifice to gain 2 life, and it lets you draw a card. Aether Herder is a 4-mana elf artificial druid that gives you energy counters, which is a mechanic that Kaladesh introduced and Aether Revolt has carried on, so check that out. There are some cards which utilise them. I mean, he puts 2 into play and then he uses 2 when he attacks to make a servo. Caught in the Brights is probably my favourite card from the set just because of the flavour of it. Useful in this deck potentially because it's a bit of a control card. So yeah, and we'll just have a look, see what rare. We got Karizev's Expertise as the rare, so unfortunately a red card that we can't really use, which is a shame. And let's take a look at the other pack, see what else we've got in here. So as you can see, the set's got quite a strong artifact focus. Conviction, enchanted creature gets +1/+3, and then you can pay to return it. So this means you can enchant the creature, give it a nice buff, and then if your opponent was to kill it, you can then pay to return it to your hand instead of losing it. A little nice little trick. That's Ridgegale Tusker. That one gets 1/1 counters on each of the creature you control when it enters the battlefield. That fits perfectly into this deck. And we have Heroic Intervention. Oh, and we've got a foil Unbridled Growth. So you have Unbridled Growths in here, so you can nicely switch one of those out for a nice foil version. Heroic Intervention. Bonus you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Another card that fits nicely into this deck. So boosters were half useful. You know, they weren't terrible for increasing this at all. So yeah, so I mean, as I said, this is quite a simple, straightforward deck. If what you want is a nice, easy, gentle step into Magic, you can't go wrong with this Planeswalker deck. Really cool way to get started, and you get a very nice Ajani Planeswalker card. Ajani being one of my favourite Planeswalkers, just because he's really cool. He's got a really good story as well. You should check out his backstory. Lots there. Very interesting character. So there we go. So also to note, all the cards you've seen here today can be bought and sold as individual cards on our website, bigorbitcards.co.uk. So if you're after any single cards, feel free to check out our website. See if there's anything you might get to help bolster your own version of this deck. So otherwise, remember to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below in the comments. Otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed watching. Check out my other Aether Revolt unboxings, and I'll see you next time. Bye.